Okay, so this video is meant to take you quickly through how to create a cladogram. So you'll be given a chart, and the first thing you do is count up how many derived character each organism has from that chart. Then you make a tree, and then you branch organisms off the tree from the fewest derived characters or evolutionary innovations to the most. And then we go back and start at the beginning and we add bullets, breaking apart organisms that have traits from those that do not. So whatever trait you put in at the bullet, all the organisms that are behind it do not have the trait, and everything in front of it has the trait. So let's take a quick look at an example. So here is our derived character chart. We have organisms, and then we have the evolutionary innovations, and then we have whether they have those traits or do not. Sometimes it's pluses and minuses. Sometimes it's written out as present and absent. So again, the very first thing we need to do is to count up how many adaptations they have. So if we start looking at the earthworm, it has 0 of the things in the chart. The trout has 1 evolutionary innovation. The lizard has 2, and the human has 3. Then from there, after we count them up, we make our tree, and then we start branching the organisms off. And we start back at whichever one has the least number of derived characters or adaptations. So we would branch off the earthworm. And then we would go up to the next one, and that's the trout. And then we'd branch off the lizard, and finally the human. So the next step is we go back to the beginning, back to the earthworm, and we start putting in these bullets. So what I want to do is look at the earthworm, and it does not have any traits on this chart, so there won't be any bullets before its name. But then I compare the earthworm to the next one on the list. What does the trout have that the earthworm does not have? So that would be the backbone, and therefore we put the bullet in between the earthworm and the trout. As we continue on, compare the lizard to the trout, and what does the lizard have that the trout does not? Legs, and we put that as a bullet in between them. And then we compare the human to the lizard. The human has hair, therefore you put the bullet between the lizard and the human. Okay, so we're going to look at another version of this. I'm going to make the tree slightly different, and it's a little bit more complex here. It has pluses and minuses instead of present and absent. The organisms are on the top instead of the side, so you can set up this chart differently, but the process is still the same. The first thing we do is count up the number of innovations. So the lancelet has 1. The lamprey has 2. The turtle has 5 derived characters. The salamander has 4. The tuna has 3, and the leopard has 6. So after we count them up, we make our tree, and we branch off the one with the fewest number, which we look at all these numbers. The smallest number here for the number of traits it has on the chart is the lancelet, and we put it up there. Again, in this way, I'm just showing you a different way. So in this one, I'm branching the organisms upwards instead of downwards, but the process is still the same. So I go to the next organism, which would be, according to this, the lamprey. And then let's see if you can remember what comes next. It would be the tuna. And then, so again, we're going 1, 2, 3, not just left to right or top to bottom. So we go tuna, and then we go to salamander, and then we would go turtle, and then we'd go leopard. So after we put in the organisms in the correct order, then we need to put in the derived characters. So in this one, I start all the way back to our first organism. Does it possess any of these traits? And it possesses eukaryotic cells, and because it has it, you would put the dot to the left, and that would be eukaryotic cells. Now we compare the lancelet to your second one, the lamprey. What does the lamprey have that this does not have? It would be the vertebrae or the vertebral column. Now we compare 2 to 3, the tuna. What does a tuna have that the lamprey does not? It would be hinged jaws. I put that in between. What does the salamander have that the tuna does not? It would be 4 walking legs. what does the salamander or the turtle have that the salamander does not? And that would be amniotic egg. And then finally the leopard, what does the leopard have that the turtle does not? And that would be hair. So again, if I'm looking at a particular derived character, every organism to the left of that point does not possess it, or it lacks legs. Everything further on would have that trait, would have legs. So again, how to create a cladogram: count up your derived characters, make a tree, branch off the organisms from fewest innovations to most, and adaptations, derived characters, whatever you want to say, from the fewest to the most, and then go back and put in your bullets, separating those that have the traits that do not have the traits. And that is how to create a cladogram.